Studio Mappa is one of the most insane and popular animation studios of this decade, working for some of the biggest names out there, such as Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and the current airing Vinland Saga Season 2. It has been able to deliver some extremely well animated and compelling shows in an even more extreme short amount of time, which initially people were only amazed by how the company was able to keep up to its impressive tight schedule and the philosophy which the corporation was based on, but it was gradually found out there was something more obscure behind it. Studio Mappa has also been heavily criticized for its massive usage of CGI animation, which was both a point of strength and weakness of the company, but people year by year actually started loving it and to appreciate the quality that the studio was able to provide. So this is basically the story of Studio Mappa. But first of all, we need to know who exactly was the founder of Studio Mappa. The journey begins with its foundation in June 2011 by Banso Maruyama, hence the name Maruyama Animation Produce Project Association, that at the age of 70 with over 50 years of experience in the anime industry founded this new studio. He also was the same co-founder of Madhouse, and the reason of his breakaway from his previous studio was because Madhouse was becoming too much work intensive and restrictive, but Maruyama wanted to be in an environment that offered more creative freedom, which he couldn't find there anymore. But funny enough, Mappa has today become what it feared the most, meaning that it is crossing the same path Madhouse has gone through. But Studio Mappa's original purpose was to actually produce a film in this corner of the world that had to face production and financial issues at Madhouse. However, moving studios generated even more problems, delaying the release of this film only in 2016. But the very first production Mappa has actually released was Kids on the Slope, a fairly decent show about jazz music that has received a considerable amount of success since it was directed by Shinichiro Watanabe and composed by Yoko Kanno, the very same people that worked on Cowboy Bebop. Over the years, Mappa has been producing some notable shows and started building a good reputation around itself. It was in this period that Mappa created its first anime original, and that was Terror and Resonance, a completely different genre of anime that was centered on a psychological thriller story, and thanks to the success this anime was receiving, it helped Mappa breaking through the anime industry. But all of the success that Maruyama was gaining eventually meant that something was about to change in the company. The reason why Maruyama founded Mappa in the first place was to escape all the pressure and restrictions he was facing at Madhouse, but the uncontrollable outbursts of success it was getting attracted even more producers, which caused an increase of the workload, bringing the company to the same state of pressure that Madhouse was facing. So in 2016, Maruyama has once again left its own company, forming a brand new studio that was Studio M2, leaving its role of CEO to the new young talent, Manabu Otsuka. It was from this point on onwards that Mappa has gone through some radical changes, and Otsuka was the precursor of all of it. Although there aren't many details about the formation of his career, we only know that he was an ex-employee and founder of another studio, but his direction abilities started to give Mappa a new different look, creating even more international acclaimed shows that can be Yuri on Ice and Banana Fish, both animes that portray same-sex relationship that also got the support from the BL community. Studio Mappa was steadily growing at a fast pace, getting recognized with an over the average quality in terms of animation adaptation, but on the other hand, it was in these years that the mass production of Mappa started to take action and provoke serious consequences about its image. Since it was basically impossible to produce everything in-house, many of their projects got outsourced to other studios, but this outsourcing was practically useless because it generated more problems than benefits on the production. If we take Banana Fish as example, the anime literally had 20 different directors, and the idea of this outsourcing was to take the weight off from the main stuff, but eventually the main stuff itself had to finish the various episodes, adding basically even more stress to the employees. Therefore, this attempt of reducing the workload for the main studio was a complete disaster. Within the next year, Studio Mappa hits its highest point of success, mostly in the year 2020, but among these heavy hitters it has demonstrated even more troubles and controversies have surfaced. The most famous case probably being the one from Attack on Titan. The main problem that emerged from this adaptation was that no studio wanted to accept the ridiculous tight schedule of producing an anime in an insanely short amount of time. And although Studio Mappa was already busy with the production of other major shows, Manabu Otsuka still chose to take responsibility of adapting Attack on Titan and assigned the role of director to Hayashi Yuichiro. And as many may have expected, rumors started spreading about how tight the production was, causing causing some animators to leave the studio. And in this case, a former map animator describes the work conditions similar to a factory, claiming that it wasn't only him having the same complaint. And indeed, even the director himself had to work for 3 days straight, highlighting even more the absurd situation of Mappa employees. Sung-ho Park, the director of The God of High School and Jujutsu Kaisen, is an amazing director and action animator. But he also decided to leave Mappa, establishing its own animation studio, and this caused the fans to panic about Jujutsu Kaisen's future. But it is also probable for Park to make his comeback to Mappa for the second season. There are still many controversies worth mentioning, such as the guy who got paid $2 for a viral trailer, and the other one being the Yasuka Netflix scandal, in which the animator Ichi got offered to get paid only 3,800 yen per cut, when the average is around 7,000. And it's just generally crazy to think that a huge company such as Netflix would almost not even arrive to pay the minimum wage. Studio Mappa actually responded to these allegations, and it didn't really deny the rumors regarding the studio's work conditions and low wages, stating that the information about this unpublished work was leaked in a misleading way. This statement went on explaining that the production team didn't have enough funds and had to cut the workers' paycheck in order to finish the development. Mappa has also expressed that wages were all set based on the sales, and that they never forced their employees into a contract without them being unaware of their pay rate. And with all my honesty, this doesn't even make sense, given the size and the immense amount of budget this studio has. But regardless of the insane amount of shows it was busy with and the controversies surrounding the inhuman state of the employees, Studio Mappa still managed to pull through these stressful years and created multiple amazing shows. Specifically, Attack on Titan was generally receiving a lot of hate for the different look it had compared to its studio style, and most importantly for how awful the CGI looked on the Titans, despite it was better looking than 99% of the other times. But in the end, it still turned out to be pretty successful, especially in the second core of Attack on Titan, when Moto Yokono became responsible for the CGI department and created an aesthetically stunning fight scene between the Titans, which doesn't even seem to be made in CGI. Following the next major show, there is Chainsaw Man, in which Keisuke Seishimo became the producer. He also has helped Mappa Studio to find a director, which happens to be Ryu Nakayama. And many skilled people that worked on Jujutsu Kaisen started to join the production of Chainsaw Man. People like Teppei Ito, the visual composer responsible for all the phenomenal cinematic scenes, and also the 3D animator Moto Yokono with its incredible CGI animations. Mappa essentially fully concentrated its investments into Chainsaw Man and gathered this group of talented people because he definitely knew this was going to be the next big thing. The entire production of Chainsaw Man was moved to a completely new studio that helped with the environment and work conditions for the employees, but the reason behind this was just one way for Mappa to justify itself from the controversies and allegations it was facing. And Chainsaw Man's anime wasn't completely a huge success. I mean, sure, it was overall well received by the Western fanbase, but Japanese people, which make up for the majority of the anime industry, have really mixed feelings about the adaptation that Chainsaw Man got. Some people were upset for the different look it has compared to Tatsuki Fujimoto's style. Some others didn't like the background music, and a good portion of them thinks that Denji's and Makima's voice actors just didn't really fit the character. One metric that we can use to measure the success of an anime are the DVD sales, which are the most profitable way of making money for animation studios along with merchandising. But Chainsaw Man's sales were a little bit off, even if it didn't really get overshadowed by any other show that was currently airing. Chainsaw Man's anime had to meet up an insane hype and expectation that were accumulated in 2 years from just this couple of trailers, and for many it just probably didn't catch up to those expectations. Nowadays, Studio Mappa has become a huge animation company with over 300 employees that is releasing at least 2 anime per season, which is a lot. But whenever they announce a future anime adaptation like the latest Hell's Paradise and the very rumored One Punch Man, a lot of people gets worried for the employees that will have to intensively work and get extremely low paychecks, or they start shitposting depressing memes about employees. We're all memeing about Mappa, but this whole situation of overworking and of exploitation of the animators is not only present at this studio. This phenomenon of treating bad employees with awfully low wages is just another prime example of the dark sides of the anime industry. Studios like Madhouse with Studio and A1 Pictures also had extreme situations that even caused the death of some people. Animators that are living under these circumstances are leaving their families and are spending hours and hours to produce our favorite animated web show. That proves their utmost dedication and love for their work, which we will need to appreciate and respect more. And even if we love to see our anime list always full of interesting but also weird shows, we don't want that the anime industry will slowly die from its employees getting overworked to produce an extreme amount of anime, because this will really mean the end of anime, which probably sounds exaggerated, and hopefully this won't happen. Masao Maruyama's vision really predicted what the industry kind of is today. He left his buff oversaturated studios because he just truly wanted to express his creativity and make adaptations of the works he truly loved and was passionate about. But fortunately, there are still some great studios that try their best to actually improve their work conditions and to keep this industry in the best state possible. So the only thing I would like to ask you weebs is to be more thankful towards the animators and of course to keep watching and loving anime.